Very good Saturday to everybody. Thanks for clicking on to today's Tropical Outlook. It is the 20th of September and we have got certainly a good bit more to speak about within the global tropics compared to recent times. It was a record quiet spell from late August through around about the 15th, 20th of September, and now we've got things going. Tropical storm Gabrielle is in the Atlantic. It continues to fight sheer and dry air, but it's still expected to become a hurricane probably the back half of this weekend and then early next week. Thankfully, it will remain a fish storm, and that has been the case for the majority of this season. It's the seventh named system in the Atlantic so far, and I really hesitate to say this, but this has all the hallmarks of a below-average season. But we've still got the month of October to go. The Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico has been very, very quiet, and let's hope that remains the case. Now, within the West Pacific, we've got three areas of interest. We've got Typhoon Niyaguri, we've got Tropical Storm Nagasa, and we've got Tropical Depression Mataig. Now, Ragasa may be the system to watch, expected to become a super typhoon. The last time we had a super typhoon in the Pacific was all the way back to February, so it's been an unusually quiet season in the West Pacific, and that system is likely to affect at least the northern portion of the Philippines, Taiwan, and eastern China. Two areas of interest in the East Pacific as well. So out with the Indian Ocean, we've got all the basins with some sort of activity at the moment, and that is something that we've not seen really this season for the most part. Looking at the weekly mean tropical storm strike probability of the ECMWF, and a lot more bright colours on that chart compared to the last Tropical Outlook. We've got a small area within the northern Bay of Bengal, but the Ragasa, I think it is expected to track between the Philippines and Taiwan into eastern China, but they having significant impacts on both island nations. And we've also got that other system further out in the West Pacific. We've got obviously the two invest areas off the west coast of Mexico, and then we've got Gabrielle in the Atlantic Basin here. Moving on to the following period, which is 29th of September through the 6th of October. And the colours are not quite as pronounced, if you notice here, particularly so in the Atlantic and the East Pacific. With regards to the West Pacific, we've got quite a broad area of 30 to 40% chance of development within this 29th of September through October 6th over the West Pacific. A lot of focus around Japan, if you notice here, which is quite interesting. And like I said, less so in the Atlantic Basin here. This season is really struggling up until now, it has to be said, for systems developing. The environment is not conducive. It's quite a hostile main development region. Water temperatures, plenty warm, especially into the Caribbean and the Gulf, where we've seen record level warmth in these bodies of water here, where the lack of activity and the progression of the summer season has allowed those water temperatures to really rise, and it really would not take much for something to sneak into the Caribbean, maybe a development of a Central American gyre, for example, into the month of October, to spin off over the waters of the Caribbean and the Gulf, and just explosive development here. That is something that is making me hesitate in saying that the season's done. We've still got a long way to go. We've got a good half of the season yet to go. So I just don't want to make that call that this season is all of a sudden done and dusted. But in terms of the Atlantic here, we've got this feature that has exited the west coast of Africa. NHC has a 20% chance of development over the next 7 days. Gabrielle, still a 50-mile-per-hour system moving in a west-northwest direction at 12 miles per hour, and still expected to develop into a hurricane. There is a window of more conducive environment, less in the way of shear, less in the way of dry air. This system is expected to be a hurricane, perhaps by the time we reach tomorrow morning, and it will take a turn to the east of Bermuda and then a hard right as it catches jet stream westerly winds here by the time we reach the early portions of next week. I want to zoom in to how this system is looking. So this is as of sunset Friday evening, and you can see this it's a little bit difficult to pinpoint, but you can see a circulation here just to the west of this main convective region here. So we've got this low-level circulation that is somewhat exposed. We've got shear within the environment that is pushing the developing thunderstorms off the center where the circulation is spinning. And if you look here at another view, you can see here, this is the water vapor imagery showing a lot of dry air to the north of the system, but it is becoming a more moisture-rich environment, hence why we're seeing a lot of stronger thunderstorms blowing up. We've got cloud tops that during the course of Friday were cooling close to minus 90 Celsius, so that is indicative of some very strong upward motion, uplift, updrafts within the atmosphere, and a lot of energy getting released. But there is shear, there is dry air, and that means that this system is fighting against the hostility of the overall wider environment here. This is the latest infrared imagery, again showing a strong blow up to the east of the low level center, and it's essentially indicative of wind shear within the overall environment here. But conditions are expected to become more improved as we go through the next 48 hours or so, hence why this system is expected to develop here. In terms of the overall environment, let's have a look at the vertical velocity potential within the atmosphere. And the reasons why the Atlantic has become a little bit more active, as well as the West Pacific, is the greens represent upward motion, the oranges represent subsidence. Now, the East Pacific is relatively quiet at the moment. The Pacific is becoming more active, and also the Atlantic is becoming more active. And you can see here off the ECMWF, the upward motion over the Atlantic. That has been something that we've not seen much of this season so far. We've had generally subsidence over the Atlantic, rising motion over the Pacific. But that being said, the Pacific, overall, has been running somewhat below average. If we look at this AI overview here, I basically Googled, is the West Pacific running below average so far? And the answer is yes, the 2025 Western Pacific typhoon season has been considered below average for activity so far in 2025, with forecasts by various agencies predicting a lower than normal number of storms. Though individual typhoons could still be powerful, the season started very slowly, with the first named storm, Typhoon Wutip, not forming until mid-June, followed by a quiet period in the basin. Favourable conditions for typhoon development have been suppressed by stronger than normal easterly trade winds here. Obviously, we've got this cooling of the Nino region 3.4. That has been generally building this La Nina signal, and that has been tempering the activity within the basin. We've also seen exceptionally warm waters from the Sea of Japan all the way to the west coast of North America as well. That's probably causing, with the combination of that warm waters to the north, the stronger than average easterly trade winds, the MJO, not being overly conducive either. That has been suppressing the activity overall. But things are starting to waken up, and if we look at the overview chart here, this is off the GFS. You can see here the 3 or 4 systems, in fact, one close to the coast of China here. This is this tropical depression. We've also got another system here that appears to be just to the west of South Korea, and we've obviously got Ragasa east of the Philippines, and we've also got this typhoon out over the open Pacific. Now, if we play through this loop, you notice that that system west of South Korea crosses the peninsula, moves through the Sea of Japan, and actually heads across the north of Honshu and then out into the North Pacific. All the while, we've got Ragasa deepening quite considerably. We've also got the other system here heading towards Japan, while we've got this system moving towards the gap between Taiwan and the North Philippines. Pressure dropping into the 950s millibars here. This is expected to become a super typhoon and then slam into the coast of China here as a fairly substantial typhoon, it has to be said. We could see winds in excess of 160 kilometers per hour, miles per hour, and also 30 plus inches of rain. That was a post by AccuWeather's Jesse Farrell. They released a post on AccuWeather showing that there's rainfall expected to be in excess of 700 millimeters and winds in excess of 160 kilometers per hour. A lot of rain expected, not just within the path of these typhoons themselves or tropical depressions, but also across a broader area of East and Southeast Asia. Now, if we look at this GFS total accumulated precipitation between now and well into next week, you can see just how much rain is expected to fall here. You can see here that we're going to see some significant rains through northern Luzon, the east coast of Taiwan, and then eastern China. There's that system that moved out of the Yellow Sea into the Sea of Japan, then moving across the north of Honshu and Hokkaido, moving northwards into the Pacific, but leaving a legacy of heavy precipitation behind. And then we've also got some very heavy rainfall through the Philippines and into a wider area of Southeast Asia. You can see here, if we play through the loop, these yellow colours are actually representing rainfall in excess of 500 millimeters. So that is a very substantial amount of rainfall. Granted, it's all the way out to the Sunday, the 5th of October, but that is a heck of a lot of rainfall. Philippines, Southeast Asia, we're going to be seeing flash flood events. Taiwan, in the parts of South Korea, but that is over the next 24 hours or so as that system crosses the peninsula, moves into the Sea of Japan, and then moves across the north of Japan here. And then obviously the system that is out over the open West Pacific, that system is going to remain offshore. In terms of the Atlantic, then we've got Gabrielle expected to deepen into a hurricane but remain a fish storm. It's going to be interesting to see actually this system that is further east in the Atlantic here, whether that survives the dust and the shear. You can see here as we play through this loop, this is the AI model of the ECMWF, by the way. You can see here that system then takes that hard right turn thanks to jet stream winds basically shoving it eastwards. Notice here there's not a huge amount of enthusiasm for anything significant. Another system deepens here. That might be that system that's got a 20% chance. That moves into the similar region that Gabrielle is expected to move into over the next 24 hours or so. Then take that turn off the east coast of the United States as well. Now there is a system that looks to develop here. Let's skip back. And it seems to come off the lower portion of Central America, drift into the open Caribbean, and then try to develop here, cross over the central swathe of Cuba, up through the Bahamas, and then perhaps head towards the Outer Banks of North Carolina here. But really the model is not overly enthusiastic, and part of the problem for that is shear. If we look at this graphic here, this is the 200 to 850 millibar bulk shear, and you can see if we skip all the way back, you can see here that there is an environment for Gabrielle to try to develop here. So we've got quite a lot of wind shear to the north. We've got some reduced shear over the central tropical Atlantic here, but further north, with drier air, we've got more of a sheared environment. There's that system here with fairly strong easterly winds here just to the north of that system. And it's the drier, it's the stronger than average wind shear. It's this competing of winds, both speed and direction with height, that's causing these systems to force the main canopy of convection to get shifted away from the center. And just generally, this environment has been very, very hostile for tropical systems. Look at what happens to Gabrielle as it lifts further north. It feels those stronger winds coming off North America here. That's the jet stream winds. And then it just gets picked up and then shot eastwards in a direction of Europe here. But because of higher pressure over the UK and Ireland, it doesn't actually appear to be going straight for the UK and Ireland. It gets deflected northwards up towards Iceland. But this is obviously one run of hundreds of different runs that you could look at. There's going to be different outcomes and different scenarios depending on what model you look at here. But yeah, generally speaking, there is not a huge amount to consider here in terms of any real threat to major land areas, the United States, etc. This is very welcome news, it has to be said. Let's have a quick look at the GFS model and see what it is indicating, and then we'll round up there. You can see here as we play through, Gabrielle again takes that hard right turn, almost heads from a kind of northwest direction to almost a straight easterly direction here as it catches the jet stream winds. GFS again not really picking up on anything, not really any real threat. This is out to the 30th of September, it has to be said. And let me just see here if I can just look at the regular ECMWF run, go back and see if it's showing much of anything. And not really. Interesting times, folks. Would not be surprising if this season remains below average for some time. Again, long way to go, but I've had this kind of feeling right the way through this season with the overall environment, with the way the atmosphere is playing out, the SST profile within the Pacific, the Atlantic and the West Pacific is looking quite likely to be a below average season in 2025. So that's it for today. Join me tomorrow, 4 p.m. for the Global Weather Report, looking at some of the bigger global aspects that have taken place over the last 7 days, and much, much more. So hope you can join me for that. Hit that link in the description below for tomorrow's video, and also hit the notify me bell as well so that you get a reminder when I go live tomorrow afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and I'll see you tomorrow, all being well, with the live. Bye for now.